Okay, hello everybody. Today we are learning about negative exponents. Your essential question is, using division, explain the meaning of a negative exponent. Remember to be sure to pause this video frequently so that you can get all your notes. Okay, so you have a sheet of paper right now, and I want you to do a little exploration with that sheet of paper. So we're going to do a little bit of writing. So we're going to take 2 to the third power and expand it out to 2 times 2 times 2, which is the same as 8. The second one is 2 to the second, so 2 times 2, which is 4. 2 to the first power is just 2. And then I want you to notice what's happening each time here. When we're going from 8 to 4, and then 4 to 2, what are we doing to reduce this? If we're using the same rule the whole time, what are we actually doing here? So if you said we're dividing it by 2, then you're right. So because if you take 8 divided by 2, you get 4. Take 4 divided by 2, you get 2. Take 2 divided by 2, and you get 1. And that's what anything to the 0 power is 1. So that fits right here. Now think about, again, what is half of 1? Half of 1 is going to give you 1/2. So when you have a negative exponent, it's the same as having 1 over 2 to the first power, which is equal to 1/2. So basically, when you think of this as being in a numerator, if you want to change the sign on the exponent from negative to positive, you have to change its position. So if it's starting in the numerator, you have to shift it down into the denominator, and then the sign on the exponent will change. So then what is 1/2 of half? Well, that's 1/4, which is the same as 1 over 2 to the second, which is the same as 1 over 2 times 2. Okay, and then the last one, what's half of 1/4? That would be 1/8, which is the same as 1 over 2 to the third, which is equal to 1 over 2 times 2 times 2. So again, over here on the left, keep thinking each time as these are in the numerator. So if we have 2 to the negative 2 in the numerator, and we want to make the sense of it, then we have to go ahead and change that negative exponent to a positive. And when we do, we're going to end up shifting its position to make that exponent positive. Same thing here. This is in the numerator. Shift it to the denominator in order to make that exponent positive. Okay. Go ahead and try. Let's turn the video off and try the next one, and then you can resume it to check your answers. Okay, so I hope those came out correctly for you. So again, just for especially with these negative exponents, in order to make them positive, think of them as being in the numerator to start with, and you're moving it to the denominator to make that exponent positive, and then to go ahead and make sense of what each value is. Okay, so moving on to negative exponents. Now that we have a little bit of experience with them and kind of see how they work, I want you to recall that to divide powers with the same base, you subtract the exponents. So if we have 5 to the second over 5 to the fifth, the way we learned it yesterday is we're going to subtract the exponents, but we're going to keep track of where those extra powers are going to land. Since we have more powers of 5 here in the denominator, well, then those extra powers of 5 are going to be here in the denominator as well. Or if you actually subtracted in order, if you wrote it as 5 to the 2 minus 5 power, then that's going to give you 5 to the negative 3 power. So 1 over 5 to the third is the same thing as 5 to the negative 3. If you want to change the power on that, if you want to change the power here, you're going to go ahead and take it out of the denominator and move it up into the numerator. So that's the way to write it with a negative exponents. So negative exponents let you write powers without fractions. So let's try simplifying some of these and using negative exponents. So we're going to take them out of fraction form using negative exponents. So we have 8 to the third over 8 to the eighth. We're going to subtract those exponents in order. Think about what that's going to give you. You should have 8 to the negative fifth power. Next one, we have x to the fourth over x to the seventh. Again, if we're going to write it with a negative exponent, we're just going to subtract those exponents in order. So we're going to have x to the 4 minus 7. So to the negative 3 power. That's supposed to be a 3. Sorry. Next, 10 to the 12th over 10 to the 20th. Subtract those exponents in order, and you're going to get 10 to the negative 8th power. Over here, oh, don't mind the little underlining that seems to be going on into the exponents. It's really just an underline here to show division. It's just I couldn't figure out how to make that happen without it following the exponent. So anyway, let's look at one base at a time. If we look at our x's, we are subtract in order. 7 minus 9 is going to give us negative 2. So we have x to the negative 2 power. And with the y's, we have 4 minus 2. So we have y to the second. So only the x has a negative power on it. The y has a positive power. Okay, so now we're going to try writing these negative exponents with a positive. So if we take a look at this one, think of this as being in a numerator. In order to change the sign on the exponent, you have to shift it and move the whole thing to the denominator. When you do, you can write that exponent with a positive. So to change the sign on the exponent, change the position. We've got to have a 1 on top there so that this makes sense. Next one. Again, think of this as being in a numerator. If you change its position, you can change the sign of the exponent. So you have 6 to the 8th in the denominator. Got to put a 1 on top. Same thing over here. If you think of this as over 1, you have 10 to the negative 5. Take the whole thing, move it to the denominator. Now I can write it as 10 to the 5th with a 1 on top. And then the last one, again, think of this all as being over 1. So we're going to take the x to the 4th, negative 4th, and we're going to move that down and make it x to the 4th. Y to the 8th, we're not going to touch. It already has a positive exponent on it, so we're going to leave it alone. Leave it right in the numerator and don't touch it. And then x to the negative 3, we're going to move that to the denominator, and when we do, that third power becomes positive. So you basically put them back in fraction form to write it with positive exponents. And that is it. So go ahead and make sure you put that notes page in, and make sure if you want to replay this that you do, and please review it as you do your homework tonight. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.